The US President Donald Trump has signed an executive order authorizing sanctions against officials working for the International Criminal Court in The Hague. The executive order prevents the travel to the US for officials and their families and raises the question as to his irrational behavior. According to Trump, the order states that anyone who has directly engaged in efforts to have the ICC investigate any cases involving US personnel will be subject to the sanctions, which is sheer madness, as the ICC is designed to expose acts of war crimes, many of which the US are directly involved in. The ICC has been quick to condemn the actions of Trump, with an ICC statement stating that the actions are unacceptable as they interfere with international law. The US Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, has also added insult to injury by claiming that the ICC is nothing more than a kangaroo court.
We cannot and we will not stand by as our people are threatened by a kangaroo court. And indeed, I have a message to many close allies around the world. Your people could be next, especially those from NATO countries who fought terrorism in Afghanistan right alongside of us. The Trump administration is taking the following actions. First, we're authorizing the imposition of economic sanctions against ICC officials directly engaged in ICC efforts to investigate U.S. personnel or allied personnel against that allied state's consent, and against others who materially support such officials' activities. Designations will be made on a case-by-case basis against specific individuals or entities. And second, the United States is expanding visa restrictions for officials directly engaged in those same investigations.
Pompeo's view of the ICC is negative, since he himself may be responsible for committing war crimes when he was the former director of the CIA. This also comes at a critical time for the apartheid states of America, as social injustice and inequality cause people to take to the streets, verging on a civil war. If the US are ready to treat their own people in such ways, then clearly they are responsible for war crimes abroad. When the ICC held the leaders of the Serbian massacres in Yugoslavia responsible for their crimes, the world cheered as justice was brought to the victims of places such as Srebrenica and Sarajevo. But for Trump and co., could a repetition of such a trial cost more than the shame that goes with it? The ICC has heavily criticised Trump based on a notion of avoiding the revelation of atrocities and crimes like those seen in Yugoslavia. It stated that Trump's actions are nothing more than a further attack on victims. The European Union has also raised their concerns as to the actions of Trump, stating that unity and common interest in reporting war crimes should be a globally accepted responsibility of all nations and all institutes.
This is a matter of serious concern, as you can understand, because we, as European Union, we are steadfast supporters of the International Criminal Court. I think that for sure I can reiterate our support to this institution. The court has been playing a key role in providing international justice and addressing the gravest international crimes. It is a key factor.
So what is it that the US has to hide? According to a report from the ICC, it seems that the US has plenty to hide, and hence why they're putting unjust pressure on those that are responsible for exposing the crimes committed by the US. But the US appears to have a history of excusing those who are clearly responsible for committing atrocious crimes around the world, and all apparently under the so-called flag of promoting democracy. One only has to look back at the presidential pardon by Trump towards US war criminal Edward Gallagher to know that Trump clearly believes that he and the US is above the law. His decision to sanction the ICC, however, has shown that he wants US soldiers and his Israeli friends to be immune from committing war crimes around the world.